Still with me, John Phillips. I want to welcome in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Michael J. Brown. All right, Michael, your thoughts here. Is this theory going to work?
Good morning, everybody. Julie, it's not a bad one. The DNA being on the sheath in and of itself doesn't mean that Kohberger is the killer. I mean, it simply means that his DNA is on the sheath. As we all know, touch DNA is very easy to transmit. I can touch an object right here in my office. Somebody takes it away. It goes to another state tomorrow, and Mike Brown's DNA is now at a crime scene. Doesn't mean I'm the killer. So the planting aspect is a little suspect. I don't know if that word is being manipulated or not. I think, and I don't want to speak for them, it may be more that his DNA is on the sheath as opposed to it's intentionally placed there by the real killer. But it's definitely an issue. And keep in mind, there's DNA, unidentified, male-identified DNA on the glove outside as well as on the railing. So that's interesting, and it's definitely going to be an issue at trial.
Michael, great points. You hit on something that I think is so key for us to explore here. Big difference between a plant or just happen to take an object that somebody else once touched and leave it behind. So let's explore this. So John Phillips, which do you think would be the better route to go? That somebody intentionally wanted to frame Kohberger for doing these murders, or that somebody may have gotten a hold of that K-bar knife that maybe was Kohberger's at some point in time. He had touched the snap on it because it belonged to him, and then that gets left behind, and suddenly everybody thinks that Kohberger must have done it.
I think the issue here is just trying to find a means to the end. Look, Johnny Cochran and Mark Furman are not coming in to save the day like they did with the bloody sock and trying to find somebody to frame for being the one who planted it. But like the judge said, I think it was the judge, if you were killing somebody with a knife, that sheath's probably pretty important. And the fact that his DNA is on the button of that sheath is such a huge piece of evidence, along with, as Michael said, the other DNA, along the chain. But they've just, I think that's one of their worst, if not their worst piece of evidence. And they've got to find another way to get it there.
Yeah, I love the point you made about this isn't the O.J. Simpson case where Mark Furman was a perfect person for the defense team to blame because all of the stuff that came out about him being racist was horrible. And it was like they made him the bad guy, and because he worked the scene, he was an easy target. You're right, they don't have that here. Michael J. Brown, so let's go down the road of the defense team is going to say this was planted. Somebody wanted to frame Kohberger for this. If they don't have somebody with that animosity, an axe to grind, whatever, is it just going to fall flat?
Yeah, Julie, it's going to be a tough sell, the plant part of it. Again, I want to stress, and I'm not the attorney on this, and they know the best, but I think the better approach is probably, hey, this guy could have touched it. It could have been transmitted 3 times over to get onto the sheath. Whose DNA is on that glove? That's a bloody glove. Whose DNA is on that railing? That's a bloody handprint. And it is not Kohberger. It is not the defendant. So, yeah, his DNA could be everywhere and anywhere, but it's really going to be about the corroborative evidence. Is there other evidence that's going to establish his presence in the home? And I know there is some, because that's what's going to really nail that DNA home as opposed to give the defense an out here.
I like what you're saying there, Michael. The other DNA, who else was in that house? Big party house, doors unlocked. There are no signs of forced entry, remember, so whoever did this crime went on right in without any problems. John Phillips, do you think we're going to see perhaps a combination of these theories where they may say that, okay, somebody could have planted it, or maybe he just touched it, and then, but wait, what about the DNA in the glove found outside of the house, and what about the DNA found on the railing inside? Are they going to point to those other specific people, you think?
Exactly. A fact alone, I don't remember who said this, but somewhere I think I stole it from somebody else's closing argument, but a fact alone is like a one-legged chair. It's not going to stand up on its own. You need other supporting facts to be able to make the chair stand up. And so they've got to figure out as a defense, certainly we can just talk in black letter law and reasonable doubt, but that chair's got to stand up. You've got to have other pieces of evidence to show how or why Kohberger was the one who happened to have this planted sheath laying next to a victim.
Exactly. Well said, John. I've got a clip of that traffic stop where Kohberger and his dad are driving on home back to PA. Let's take a look.
He's been a little bit wishy-washy on the DNA on the knife sheath itself. You don't get to claim Fourth Amendment standing and then just say, well, that may be my DNA, but I have no idea how it got there. We have a defendant who is trying to get the best of both worlds. He's trying to say, well, it's not my DNA and the state can't prove that, but he's also trying to say that he has Fourth Amendment standing. And that is not how the Fourth Amendment works.
You right up on the back end of that van, pulled you over for tailgating. Is this your car? Okay, cool. Where are you headed?
Well, we're coming from WSU.
Okay, so I'm wondering if Kohberger's dad could come into play here at all with this defense theory. So Michael J. Brown, hear me out. So we remember the DNA, touch DNA on that snap showed that it was the spawn of Papa Kohberger who touched it. Do you think there's any way the father could be helpful to the defense if it was his K-bar knife or if it went missing from his house? I don't know, anything you can think of that dad could do as a witness. And I'm kind of just, I don't have a set plan in mind. I'm just wondering as I look at him and I think, might they use him as a witness some way, somehow? What do you think, Michael?
Actually, I don't know the likelihood ratio that was determined or at least suggested by the prosecution on this actual sheath. I don't know the ratio. Obviously, if it's not a great ratio, then clearly, as the father, he could be the donor. And I don't know if it was mitochondrial or nuclear. I'm not sure, so I don't want to speak out of school. But listen. If they have an opportunity to present some explanation for that DNA and it's not Kohberger's, certainly I think the defense would go forward. This Ann Taylor, who's the lead defense attorney, she's been very zealous. She's done a great job to this point representing her client. So I'm sure they'll explore any opportunity they have at trial.
Yeah, great points. And boy, do you know your stuff, Michael J. Brown? You've tried so many homicide cases while you're firing off these terms. You know what you're looking at. We're going to leave it here for now and see what the next filings reveal as this case gets closer to trial in August. Michael J. Brown, John Phillips, stand by, please. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, here's what's next.